Welcome to This Week from Blue Mountain Broadcasting. I'm your host, Lynelle Ellis, president of Blue Mountain Broadcasting Association, and I'm glad you've tuned into the show today. You're going to feel like there's a little bit of a European theme maybe to today's show. In our devotional, I'm going to talk about some journeys that I've been on recently, and then Ben Gish, director of the Orchestra and teacher at Walla Walla Valley Academy, is going to be here as our guest to talk about the recent WAVA Orchestra trip to Europe. So you'll definitely want to stay tuned to hear about that. And we are going to share some things that are important as well during our station news segment. Let's begin now with our devotional thought. As I mentioned, I've just returned from 3 weeks in Austria and the Czech Republic. And some of the most beautiful scenery in the world can be found in these places. Mountains, lakes, farmland, and also some of the most amazing and very old fortresses, castles, and palaces. The Austria-Hungarian Empire was large and wealthy, and they created incredible structures that they left behind after the demise of the monarchy at the end of World War I. These places are still viewed by people from all over the world because they are so beautiful and incredible. My daughter said, "I wish I could live in one of those castles." And I'm not actually sure that a castle would be all that comfortable, but I understand this wish that she was expressing. There is something very romantic and perhaps dreamy about imagining yourself living in a palace or in a castle. I'm not expecting to live in a palace during my lifetime, but all the talk of royalty and of their amazing palaces begin to remind me of who we really are in God's sight. We are princesses and princes of God's kingdom. It's hard for me to even say that or to imagine it. I'm so unworthy and small compared to God. It just doesn't seem right. But that's what He has told us. We are sons and daughters of the King of the universe. Yes, that is what the Bible says in 2 Corinthians 6:18. This is God speaking. "I will be a father to you, and you will be my sons and daughters," says the Lord Almighty. We are children of the King, princes and princesses, and the King has great plans for our future. We won't be living in hard stone castles of medieval times or in the opulent palaces of the 18th century, but we will be well provided for in what the Bible describes as lovely dwellings or mansions. "In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you." John 14:2. Now, the best part about this saying of Jesus isn't that these dwellings might be mansions. The best part is that Jesus is preparing them for us. The same Jesus who loves us so intimately, and I can only imagine the joy that He is having preparing a special dwelling for me and for you and for each one of us. And I expect that they will be designed with each individual person well in mind, taking into account our individualities, our likes, our favorite things. Yes, Austria and the Czech Republic are amazing, but they are a far cry from what God has planned for our future in the new earth. 1 Corinthians 2:9 says, "Eye has not seen, nor ear heard, nor have entered into the heart of man the things that God has prepared for those who love Him." It's beyond our imagination. It's beyond what we can dream up. And I can't wait for the future that God has prepared. He is preparing a special place for each person who loves Him. So let's refocus our thoughts, refocus our hearts, refocus our lives. Put the attention on Him and love Him. Give Him the love He deserves. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Welcome back. Joining me now is Ben Gish, teacher at Walla Walla Valley Academy and the director of the orchestra there. It's great to have you on the show, Ben.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And we have some exciting things to share with our viewers. The WAVA Orchestra has just been on a very exciting trip, a journey to Europe.
Yes, we went to Vienna and to the Czech Republic and visited Prague. And I want to thank all of the viewers that are part of this Walla Walla community that helped the orchestra over the last several years as they've worked on the project to be able to go on a tour like this.
Yes, in fact, we do have a lot of community involvement. I know there's fundraising with making pies and others who just contribute. And this has been quite a journey to get this trip to happen because it was supposed to happen the previous year.
Yes.
And we all know, COVID circumstances delayed that. But finally, the trip happened and really exciting for the students. What's the purpose of a trip like this, taking your orchestra, far away across the world to somewhere else?
Well, it's interesting because we play the music of composers from far away places. And so when you play the music of Mozart and Haydn and Beethoven and Brahms and Vivaldi, it's really an amazing experience if you can actually go and see the communities, the countries, the towns where these people lived and did all of their work with music, and then hear firsthand the stories from tour guides and people that help you really understand what their life was like, what was going on in their lives when the music was being created. And so looking at what Haydn's kitchen looked like when they showed us his house, and I was wondering what Top Chef would look like in Haydn's kitchen. But then also going across the little town and playing at Haydn's church where Haydn is buried and playing the music of Haydn.
That was incredible.
Very amazing experience.
It is, and he's buried there in that church.
Yes, and the kids had been up for well over 24 hours at that point in time. And I mentioned to them before this is a practice setting up to perform. It wasn't for a big audience or anything like that, but it was just to go and actually have a chance to play in that space and just get used to setting up with the equipment that we'd rented, using the instruments that we'd rented for the cellos and the basses, and just getting acquainted with that.
And acoustics are so different in those cathedral-like settings.
Right.
They're churches, but they're tall and stone. And
right, and to kind of get used to that space and give them. So I talked to them about, we've worked for all of this time to be here, and we're here. And so let's enjoy that moment of being able to play here. And you would never have known that they hadn't slept in 25 hours.
Yeah.
They played amazing. And we had a great warm-up for our tour right there, and it was really a special experience.
I heard some of them talking about how amazing it was that there they were in the very church where Haydn lived and played, and he's buried there, and they saw his tomb there, and that they were playing in that space. It really did make an impact on them. And you're talking about being where the composers were. We went on some of the paths and trails where Beethoven used to walk and get his inspiration.
That's right.
It was pretty amazing.
It was really amazing to do that. We had a little bit of cloudy days the first day and a half or so while we were there, but then we had just gorgeous weather, and especially on Sabbath when we were able to go out and walk on those trails where Beethoven enjoyed being. It was incredible.
Mm-hmm. So it was a good experience, and we're already talking about some highlights, but let's talk about the performances themselves, because there were a couple of performances. How do you feel those went for the students, for the audience who was there? So
the very first performance then, I'm terrible with names, so I don't even remember the name of that church it was, but it was
I know
in
it was in Vienna.
So anyway, but Helmut, that we've always worked with on these kinds of tours, it's one that he's in charge of. And it was a beautiful miniature cathedral kind of space, amazing sound in there. And a couple highlights from that performance, actually several, but anyway, so I'll try to go through them quickly. But one of them, Glenn and Kathy Spring came
Many
from
people in the
Switzerland.
community will know and those
so
names.
Those of you that know this program from way before Mr. Gish came, I'm here because they wanted to help they inspired the Academy with the parents that were here at the time to have a program at the Academy so we didn't lose kids through the cracks between the Rogers string program and the university. So kids were kind of falling out. So they wanted a program and they wanted a cellist to do that at WAVA. And so Glenn Spring was my mentor. And so when that opportunity came to come and teach with them, it was just a very special thing. So anyway, so they came and got to see the fruition of all of their work continuing.
That was really special.
So that was really cool. We had raised funds for people of Ukraine, and there were people from Ukraine at that performance that came up to me and talked to me how meaningful it was to hear these kids. And they were from Mariupol.
Oh, wow.
And so they'd lost absolutely everything. So I told them how important trying to help them was to us. And so anyway, that was a very meaningful thing. But the kids really played phenomenally well, as good as I've ever heard them play.
Yes.
So at some point in time, we hope to have those recordings available. Maybe we can do something where we can have something available on Blue Mountain TV. But it was done with very specialized equipment. I think a lot of the editing of sounds is going on right now. So I'm letting them have the time to do that. I'm trying to be patient. So anyway.
Even though we all can't wait to see it.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So every once in a while, a different parent or so has posted something that they took with their phone or something like that. And so there's nice little clips of things like that. But we hope to have a pretty nicely professional presentation of it soon.
Yes, and we're really looking forward to that. Yeah. And thank you to David Butcher, who really led out in making that happen.
He got the specialized equipment to do that, and he's reading up on all the books on now what to do with all these things that I have, and with all these special microphones that I used, and so I think it's going to be something pretty special.
And that audience in Vienna was very receptive. They really were an appreciative audience. Yeah,
it was the tour company MCI. They have a big house for us every place that we play, and so it was really a big audience, and they were appreciative. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then also, I think I'm remembering the name of the church in Prague, St. Nicholas Church, I think.
Yes, St. Nicholas Church.
And that's kind of a special church in Prague where they played because it's from the Hussite tradition. The people I think that have formed that church, kind of a Reformed Catholic church, and so that I thought that was kind of interesting to be there in that space. How did that concert go?
So that concert, again, it was a really special event. My son, when he was there, this is the second time our orchestra's played there. In 2011, we played there, and my son was in the orchestra then. And his first comment was, "This is in the James Bond movies."
Oh.
So anyway, so he was impressed with it from that standpoint. I know that in Czechoslovakia, there's several different groups of people that make up that country, and so anyway, the performance that the kids played there was again for a full house. Mm-hmm. It was almost beyond capacity, and again they played really well. But because I had a student teacher with me, Brandon Rittenauer, I got to play with the orchestra. And I remember walking through the orchestra to pick up the string bass to do my part and play. And then I turned around and it's amazingly beautiful. I had never looked at it from that perspective in a performance because I was always directing. But it was incredible looking at the huge chandelier and how gorgeous that whole place was. And I said, well, no wonder sometimes the kids might have a hard time paying attention to me. This is distracting. But they did a great job. They sounded fabulous. So I'm looking forward to hearing how that all played out. If any folks are friends with Riley King's parents, they Art and Rhonda, they posted a little snippet of Riley playing her Haydn cello concerto there, and you might go and hear a little bit of that, and that's the place that was.
Yes, really nice. So what do you, a lot goes into this, a lot of fundraising, a lot of money, a lot of investment, both of resources and time. So what do you hope students then take away from an experience like this, going to Europe, being in those places?
I think it's an incredible lifelong memory that they hold and cherish. And it'll be, when they hear the music that they performed, they're going to know, oh, I performed that and I got to play it over here in this place. The tour guide that was from Prague, the bus driver that their home is Prague, their bus driver, they'll always remember that he was a soccer pro before he was a bus driver.
Yes.
And then they'll also remember some of the stories that the tour guide shared with us about her personal experience growing up and living in the Czech Republic.
Yes, that was
and
powerful.
all the different kinds of things. I don't know that every tour group will ask personal questions, and I don't know that every tour guide would be willing to answer personal questions about their life and things like that. But she shared, and she knew we cared, and it was amazing to hear all of what she had to share with the kids about that. I think they'll remember that. I think that they will also remember that the cultures of what other people live like, even though it's different, we are so much the same.
Yes.
And so we all have the same kinds of dreams and goals and desires, and everyone is valuable.
And they will always probably remember being at the symphony in Vienna.
I think that's
Wow.
something they'll never forget.
That was incredible.
And they'll never forget they heard a 6-minute snare drum encore.
Yes. So that
the
was,
percussion
we can't even describe that to our audience, because it was such an incredible performance with this special percussionist.
To have a percussion concerto for 35 minutes or so, full 3-movement concerto with the energies that each movement in a concerto is supposed to have, the fast, slow, fast, and the drama that goes into all of those. It was all there. It was just an amazing piece to hear. But then to hear the Rachmaninoff first piano concerto, and then the other pieces that they played, they were phenomenal orchestra.
Absolutely. A phenomenal orchestra in a phenomenal space. It was just really amazing. Well, Ben, it's been an incredible trip. I know there will be more orchestra trips to come, because they come along every so many years. And I want to thank you for sharing with us about this particular trip. And thanks to all in the community who helped make it happen.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much. And thank you for having me.
Yes. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Time now for station news. And the biggest first update that I want to share with you is that our volunteer and board member, Keith Carlin, is just about ready to submit our building permit information back to the county. You know, we've been having to fill in a lot of gaps that they weren't big deals, but in a way they were time-consuming deals that we needed to figure out some details and give back to the county so that we could submit that building permit with all of its additional information ready for the County's final review of it. And once they give us the go-ahead, then we will be ready to begin on the building and construction that we need to do at the new facility on Wallula Avenue. So it's a big deal that this is about to be submitted. Keep it in your prayers. Our whole process in moving forward, we certainly need your prayers for that. And then also just a little programming note. This is actually not very good news. We're pretty disappointed actually at Blue Mountain Television, but we are not going to be able to offer to you the Sabbath study hour from Sabbath School study hour from Amazing Facts anymore, because they are not providing that program for broadcast. So it has wrapped up. Last week was the last week for that program, and I just wanted to let you know we're sorry. We wish we know it's been a favorite with a lot of you as viewers, but it's just not being provided anymore by Amazing Facts for broadcast. So we are not going to be able to share the Sabbath School study hour with you. We've got a lot of other great programming still, though, so I know there are good things that you'll want to tune into every day of the week, including Sabbath or Saturday, but we just won't have that particular show anymore. And then once again, I want to remind you that your gifts to the station are absolutely essential. This is viewer-supported ministry that's going on here at Blue Mountain Television. It's your station, it's your community, and we need you. We need especially those monthly gifts that you can give for our operating budget, which keep us on the air and keep us moving forward. So thank you for those. And if you're not someone who gives regularly on a monthly basis, please consider it. It doesn't have to be a large gift. It can be something that might seem fairly small month by month, but that will still make a really big difference over the year as we're operating. Once again, our bills come in just like yours do every month, and so we want to keep that really, really strong. And during the summertime, which we are definitely in right now, as here we are at the end of June as I'm recording this, we definitely need to have an extra boost to the operating budget during this time of year. A lot of us have been off on vacation or will be, and sometimes we kind of let some of those extra gifts that we might give kind of slip by the wayside while we're busy enjoying our summer. So please don't let that happen. And in fact, you might send an extra gift because you can make up for some of the ones that might not come in during these summer months. So thank you for that. And also, gifts toward our project and our move are also really, really important and valuable to us. So thank you. And we would like you to remember us in prayer. We are in the process of continuing to move forward, not just with the building project, but in some restructuring at the station that will move us forward to our goals that we laid out a couple of years ago when we had a big visioning process. Things that are going to lead toward you seeing Blue Mountain Television be even more exciting than it has ever been before. So your prayers for all of that planning and that process are coveted, valuable, and we really, really appreciate it. You're essential to Blue Mountain Television. I appreciate you and thank you for tuning into the show today. I'll see you next time.